Arsenal 4, Everton nil. A game that I think the score line actually doesn't really tell the entire story, especially the first half. I thought, you know, let me know what you thought, but I thought for the first half, Sean Dyche and Everton did a fantastic job of not playing football. That's just how it is. And, I think this goes untalked. Well, it's not talked about enough, actually, because we know people play like this against Manchester City. We know now that people play like this against Arsenal. It's not just Everton. It's Brentford. I mean, Brentford, a team that attacks and likes to play in transition and likes to play football. They just hoofed it up to Ivan Toney over and over and over again against William Saliba, and it worked. And they got a draw, even though VAR should have given us their goal was offside, but whatever. But it's not just Everton. It's Brentford. It's obviously Newcastle, a team you think that press really high, a lot of energy, are good on the ball. Eddie Howe, terrific manager, good on the ball. Nope, when they come to the Emirates, they just sit, park the bus, and that's the true sign of a very special team. And we've seen it with teams like Liverpool, who just play really rapid football, and teams just can't get out. But more importantly, you do see it with a team like Manchester City, who just control so much of the games that the opponents just they know they can't go toe to toe with them, so they sit in a low block. So the fact that it's happening to Arsenal, we've been saying this for months, the fact that it's happening to Arsenal shows just how great of a team it is. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about, especially when we talk about Manchester United. I just want to mention it because Manchester United don't have to go through this. I mean, when they played against Leicester City, Leicester tried to attack them. They had some solid chances. They were open, and United ended up winning that game 3-0. But when Leicester City played Arsenal, Leicester did none of that. They sat in a 4-5-1, just complete deep block trying to close out space. And they eventually only had one shot, I think, in the entire game. And that's because the level of respect that Leicester gives to Arsenal is way, way, way higher than the level they give to Manchester United. And I just want to point that out because Manchester United is going to go through that soon, where teams kind of finally register that if we can't beat them toe to toe, so then they will sit in a low block. And Manchester United will have to go through that phase of trying to figure that out. And right now, when you limit all the space that Rashford gets, will he still be able to score the amount of goals? It's going to be really, really interesting. That's just something I've noticed, that a lot of people keep saying how United's probably the most informed team in the world at the moment. I'm just like, teams don't respect them yet. I think they will get to that level, but they don't respect them enough yet to just absolutely shut down the space. Then what can you do? And that was a masterclass of what Arsenal did, especially in the second half. But the real breakthrough was that first goal. Bukayo Saka just sitting in the space. It was just a lack of concentration from Everton for 2 seconds. Just one little lapse of concentration. Zinchenko fires the ball in. Amazing first touch. Amazing turn. Amazing finish. I mean, absolutely perfect. The one spot where you can beat Jordan Pickford. If Saka goes low and tries to get to the bottom left corner, it's not going to go in. Pickford's going to get a hand on that. So he goes to the one spot where you can score, and that is high and wide, high and up into the roof of the net with just a beautiful strike, very similar to the one he has at Leeds. Very obvious that he practices that on his weaker foot. And then right after that, again, another lapse of concentration by Everton. That's the thing, though. When you want to sit in this low block, when you actively know you're not going to play football, you have to be concentrated for 90 minutes. It's just so difficult, especially away from home. Like, they were able to do it at Goodison. And to be fair to Everton, they created a lot of chances at Goodison Park. It was not like they just completely sat back. I mean, they created a lot of chances at Goodison Park against Arsenal, but in this game, they created absolutely nothing. God bless Neil Maupay, probably the worst striker in the league. I don't even know what he does. I don't even know what skill set he has. He just runs around and gets in positions. I mean, I don't really know, but they were not going to score, and so to be able to defend for 90 minutes, it just wasn't likely. So those lapses of concentration really showed in the first two goals. The one where the space just slightly opens up for Saka, and then it's just a beautiful, wonderful finish by him. And then the second one is just, I mean, it happens, right? You dwell on the ball for 3-4 seconds and you don't pass it back to your keeper. Saka gets a little touch on it. Martinelli onside scores 2-0 heading into halftime, and I think we all knew the game was over. In the second half, Arsenal just passed the ball to death, killed them to death with the passing of the ball, And Everton just gave up. I mean, like, you kind of knew. They knew, and I think Sean Dyche knew, like, you were not going to get 2 goals back at the Emirates against this team and how they're playing. You're just not going to be able to do it. So Everton just tried damage control. It's kind of like if you were down 2-0, but you were with 10 men, right? Like, you're down 2-0 with 10 men, you kind of just do damage control. Well, they had 11 men, but it looked like they had 10 men on the pitch. I mean, it was just absolutely a field day for Arsenal, just passing it around. And especially the last 20 minutes of the game where they get the final 2 goals, you can tell, like, Iwobi's not closing down on the ball. The Everton players are just sitting. They don't want to close down the ball. They don't want to make the extra effort. They just want to sit. They're completely dejected. And Arsenal just tore them apart. I think Arsenal were absolutely so good. And I think Peter Drury on the commentary had a very good saying. It was like this gorgeous arrogance. I don't know if that's the exact words he said. Beautiful arrogance, gorgeous arrogance. But they were arrogant. Arsenal were arrogant on the ball. They would just hold on to it, wait for you to come to them, and then they'd pass it back, and just you were not able to get to them. I was actually a little bit worried for a second Everton might just get pissed off and just stamp someone and try to hurt someone, because that's how arrogant it was kind of getting. But Everton just kind of gave up. I mean, they were just completely dejected, and it was Arsenal's best second half performance of the season. I think part of that because of Everton, part of that because they were just so confident of the ball. Like, they should have scored 6, honestly. Like, that's just how lethal they were. There was a chance for Martinelli. There was a chance for Fabio Vieira. There was a chance for Eddie Nketiah, a clear, actually one-on-one chance for Eddie Nketiah. There was chances for Odegaard as well. I mean, it was just an absolute rout. Odegaard scores the 3rd goal, just easily carving through the team from Saka on the right to Xhaka to Trossard back into the to the box to Odegaard, and the 4th goal just as simple as well, a little through ball to Fabio Vieira, not Fabio Vieira, it's a little through ball to Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah crosses it in. Martinelli's right there. You could just see the effort from Everton was not there. 4-0, done, 5 points ahead of Manchester City. I don't want to say this was an easy stretch for Arsenal, but, when you looked at the schedule, you had Leicester away, you had Aston Villa away. Not easy teams, but, like, you have games against the bottom half of the table that you just got to take advantage of. Then you have Everton and Bournemouth at home, and then you have Fulham away. Fulham away is tough. But these 4 games, which was Leicester, Aston Villa, Everton, and Bournemouth, you kind of need Arsenal to get all, what is that, 12 points? Yeah, all 12 points from 4 games, and they're 3/4 of the way there. Don't take Bournemouth lightly. Get that job done. And then you have Europa League, which is going to be really interesting to see what Arteta does. I don't know what Arteta is going to do. I really don't. In terms of how much rotation do you play in the Europa League, especially first leg away from home. It's not easy against Sporting. It's not easy at all. So what do? Do you make the same amount of changes that you were making in the group stage, which usually for Arsenal in this competition in the Europa League, that does not happen. When you get to the knockouts, round of 16 and quarterfinals and semis, all that, you don't rotate. This is different, though, because you're competing for the title. Do you want to play Bukayo Saka 90 minutes at Bournemouth, 90 minutes at Sporting, 90 minutes at Fulham, 90 minutes at Sporting? Like, obviously, right? So how much rotation will Arteta do with the Europa League? That's going to be very fascinating to see. Will he only make like 2 to 3 changes? Or will he make 6 to 7? Or will he make more? It's going to be really, really fascinating to see what Arteta does with the Europa League. Because City aren't going to rotate. City for Champions League, they're not rotating. Like, City will play who they believe will be their best squad to get them through in the Champions League. And remember, they drew with Leipzig away in the first leg. So they saw that second leg, they got to go back to Etihad and win that game in order to advance. And if City go through the Champions League, they're not going to be rotating. So what does Arteta and Arsenal do? It's going to be really the Thursday, Sunday. It's no joke. It is no joke, especially when you're coming up against teams like Fulham, who are not in Europe. You come up against maybe Liverpool, who very likely could get eliminated from the Champions League against Madrid. So then you come up against Liverpool after playing on a Thursday. And Liverpool, you have a week rest Liverpool that you got to go to Anfield. This is where it's going to get really, really challenging for Arsenal is when the Thursday, Sunday schedule comes back. Because right now they haven't had that. And so when the Thursday, Sunday comes back, it's going to be really, really challenging. I never say I want to just exit out of a competition. I want to win every game. I think that's the mentality that you have to have. But if you could win every game while rotating, that would be the most ideal way. And that's where players like Kieran Tierney, Fabio Vieira, Rob Holding, Tomiyasu, Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, and even when Gabriel Jesus comes back, Trossard, all these guys, the squad's deep enough. The squad's deep enough to actually handle both competitions. The point is you have to trust the players that are not starting every single Prem game. So you have to trust Smith-Rowe. You have to trust Fabio Vieira, Jorginho, Kivior. You have to give him some minutes. Holding, Turner. You got to trust these guys and play them. And then we'll see what happens. 5-point gap on City. We'll have another match review after the Bournemouth game. I'll see you guys then. Take care of yourselves. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. And comment down below what you thought of the result. Let's go win ourselves a title, but one game at a time. See you guys later. Peace out.